Hello and welcome back to another Royal Reviewer transmission, and today in the UK it's Mother's Day. It is the 19th of March 2023 and we do have some Royal Family Mother's Day pictures which I will talk about at the end of this video, so do stay tuned for that. But I'm going to go straight into it. The main story, the main Sunday royal story that broke last night just ahead of obviously the Sunday day papers, is the news about Frogmore Cottage. Now, let's just talk a little bit about Frogmore Cottage and what we know so far, and then we'll add in this new exclusive and we'll talk about what we think. So, Frogmore Cottage was a wedding gift from Her late Majesty the Queen to the Duke and Duchess of Sussex on the occasion of their wedding. Now, one thing that we do know is that any Crown Estate properties that are gifted as grace and favour homes are not actually given, as in the title deeds, to that person. They are given as a grace and favour home, in, I suppose, favour for the anticipation of that lifetime of service and duty that the Duke and Duchess of Sussex were expected to undertake on behalf of the sovereign and the nation, that lifetime of duty and service. Now, obviously, when Harry and Meghan decided to step back, of course, that was their decision to do, then they were not allowed or permitted to carry out a lifetime of service and duty whilst still commercially making money themselves. It was seen as not compatible. So at that point, Harry and Meghan came under lots of pressure and public pressure to pay back the £2.4 million that it cost to renovate Frogmore Cottage. Now, the Crown Estate didn't actually ask them to pay it back. It wasn't a request of the royal family. It wasn't a request of the Crown Estates. They bowed to public pressure and they volunteered that money back, which showed up in several places in the accounts. I think the following time that the accounts were put out. The accounts are all public. So they definitely 100% paid back the 2.4 million. What always astounded me is that Frogmore Cottage, I mean, I've seen it myself when I visited Windsor recently. It's not a huge property. It's big. I mean, it's a big sort of mansion. It's not really a cottage. I mean, cottage is a little bit of a deceptive name for it. It is big. It was previously, it was built originally as one property, kind of Queen Charlotte's Retreat, but then it was divided into 5 staff properties. And then obviously Harry and Meghan put it back into one property. But it always staggered me how a building of that size could actually cost 2.4 million to renovate. Because, I mean, you could build a brand new property and buy the land for probably a lot less than that and build something even bigger and grander. So I always thought 2.4 million sounded like an awful lot. I mean, I would have expected maybe about $1 million. Anyway, 2.4 million is the figure that they volunteered to pay back. Now, at the time, I have made videos, I mentioned it not so long ago, where we were talking about Frogmore Cottage, and I said that at the time they paid back the 2.4 million, I thought that they should have done a deal where perhaps they got a long-term lease, very similar to Prince Andrew and, of course, Prince Edward for their Crown Estate properties. And I found it a little bit odd that what we were led to believe was the fact that they paid back the 2.4 million and then were also paying market rent on top. I just thought that was a little bit strange. Anyway, then we get to the point where Charles ends that lease and they only have until June or July to move out. So let's read this story and see where this fits in. So the Duke and Duchess of Sussex struck a deal with... Now, this, by the way, this has actually been revealed by Buckingham Palace. It is official news. So the Duke and Duchess of Sussex struck a deal with Buckingham Palace to pay no further rent on Frogmore Cottage after refunding the £2.4 million taxpayers paid for its refurbishment, the Mail on Sunday can reveal. What strikes me immediately is the amount of time that it has taken for this to come out, and also the timing of it coming out. Harry and Meghan have been quite happy, and the palace and Harry and Meghan have both been quite happy for the public to believe that Harry and Meghan paid back the 2.4 million and continued to pay rent. The palace and Harry and Meghan have never, until now, corrected that popular held belief. I mean, I've spoken about it here, but like I say, the one thing I did think is, Harry and Meghan should have got some sort of deal out of it, and it turns out that they did. So it's been reported that the Sussexes would pay a commercial rate, which I've just spoke about, for the 5-bedroom mansion on the Windsor estate. But palace officials last night confirmed that the lump sum payment wiped out the couple's rental obligations, as the increased value of the property following the work was taken as rent in lieu. Well, obviously, the property is worth more when it's been renovated than how it was before. It's estimated the property would cost between £150,000 and £230,000 a year to rent commercially, which means that the Sussexes may have saved £690,000. I mean, it's all speculation because we don't know exactly how much the rental would have been. They will not renew their lease when it ends later this month, but I think they have until July to remove all of their belongings. Princess Eugenie has been reported to have been helping them, and it is also reported that it was not necessarily the Sussex's decision not to renew the lease, that it was taken from the Crown Estates, i.e. King Charles. So a palace spokesperson said, and I quote directly, "The Duke and Duchess of Sussex made a contribution of £2.4 million to the sovereign grant, which covered the refurbishment of Frogmore Cottage. They have fulfilled their financial obligations in relation to the property. In line with usual practice for the sovereign grant report, the accounting treatment was scrutinised and signed off by the National Audit Office and the Treasury." So everything was done officially and in the open. I did show in a previous video an excerpt from one of those reports showing that they had paid back that money. As with any such agreement between landlord and tenant, further details regarding the Sussexes' tenancy agreement would be a private matter. So there was a dealing done behind the scenes. We don't know exactly the full details of it. We only know sort of what we know from the figures that have come out and from what the palace has said today. So we don't know everything, and I think that is important to point out before sort of rampant internet speculation gets out there. We don't actually know the whole full story. We only know what we're seeing now. So as with a lot of royal watching, like I said before, there's lots of speculation. Now, but with the passage of time, things come out in the wash, and this is what we're seeing now. We're seeing history in action. Let's read a little bit more. But last night, one critic reacted angrily to the emergence of the deal. A private cabinet minister, said it's outrageous that Harry and Meghan should be able to live in a huge house on these terms while regular people struggle to put food on the table. He's now demanding to know how many royal family properties are rented out below the market rate. Well, I think what this person is failing to understand, I suppose, or take into account, is the fact that those renovation costs would never have had to have been paid back, and no rent would have been expected from Harry and Meghan had they continued to live in the UK and be working royals as a grace and favour home. So in exchange for their duty and service, they would have had basically a free house, free renovations, no rent to pay for the rest of their natural lives in exchange for a lifetime of duty and service. They gave that up. Now, like I said, there was no actual requirement, other than pressure to pay back that money. So Harry and Meghan paid back, to be fair, 2.4 million of their own money, although some people are speculating maybe it did actually come from Prince Charles or the Queen, but we don't know anything about that. That really is just speculation and internet gossip. So we can't really put that out there as being a fact. But anyway, Harry and Meghan paid back the 2.4 million voluntarily. So they did something they didn't need to do. So the state, the Crown Estate, did actually benefit from them deciding to pay back that money. So basically, not paying the rent, they basically used the 2.4 million as down payment on rent. That is how I see it. And that's probably what that kind of private agreement that's not being stipulated is actually saying. And obviously we don't know how the length of that term. So would they have started paying market rent again once that 2.4 million had been drawn upon? If you get what I mean, maybe that would have taken 10, 15 years at those rates to actually draw down on. Then would they have started paying that money back? Or was that supposed to be it? Would they have just paid 2.4 million and then they get use of Frogmore Cottage forever? I don't know. That these are the terms of that secret part of the deal that we don't actually know. So I think the man there that I've just quoted forgot a few little details. So having paid back that 2.4 million and now being asked to leave the cottage, a lot of people are going to be saying, are Harry and Meghan actually owed any money back? If the deal was for rent in lieu, then actually the Sussexes have kind of had a bit of a bad deal. They paid 2.4 million and only got, it seems, around £690,000 back out of it. The taxpayer has definitely benefited from this deal. That is how I see it. So we don't know. Privately, maybe the King and the Crown Estates has agreed to pay them back some money. We don't know. Also, we do not know exactly why this has come out now, and more intriguingly, why it is the palace that has put it out. Perhaps Harry and Meghan were going to reveal this for some reason. The palace got wind and then wanted to put it out first. Maybe a newspaper found out about it and was going to write this article, and they wanted to make the announcement first and have a say. It's unsure, it's unclear at the moment exactly the motives for this. And of course, we still don't know whether or not Harry and Meghan have been offered apartments or royal residences to use when they are in the UK. What was mooted was perhaps Prince Andrew's old apartments at Buckingham Palace, maybe some rooms at St James's Palace, maybe Kensington Palace could offer something up. We don't actually know. If Harry and Meghan have had some of that money back, of course, they can choose to actually fund their own house, except it will not have the benefits of the royal protection that comes with, for example, the grounds with Windsor. They would have to fund their own protection, but they could literally go and buy a property that they thought was suitable in the UK. Do I think that they will do that? I don't think anytime soon. I think for Harry, it would be nice to have a UK base. It would be nice for King Charles to get to know his grandchildren, Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet, better, because let's face it, the amount of time they have been away, he hasn't really got to know them. So I think that would be nice. Anyway, do let me know what you think about this. Let me know how you interpret this information, because I think people will interpret it in different ways, which is always interesting when it comes to royal watching, because not everyone sees the same things out of the same words or out of the same pictures. So please let me know what you think in the comment section below. Okay, so next up, obviously it is Mother's Day, so I want to say a really big happy Mother's Day to anybody who considers themselves to be a mother in the world. And I know that for some people it can also be a sad day if you are perhaps remembering your mother, and we'll get to that in a moment, because Camilla has been remembering her mother and so has King Charles. But today I want to start with the Prince and Princess of Wales's Twitter account, where they posted only 59 minutes ago a new Happy Mother's Day, or two Happy Mother's Day photographs. So they say, Happy Mother's Day from our family to yours. Now, these pictures were taken on the Sandringham estate in Norfolk, their family home called Anmer Hall, and they were taken on the same day as the Christmas card photo from last year. So as you can see, they are in a tree. It looks a very strong tree to hold all of them, but there they are, as then they were still the Cambridge children. Now, of course, they are the of Wales children. Catherine looking gorgeous as ever. I love the lighting, the kind of dappled lighting coming through the trees. They are all quite beautifully lit, even though, like I say, you've got that kind of dappled lighting. They are dressed in the typical Cambridge blue. I'm wearing some blue today to kind of tie in. Whenever they do a family unit photograph, you can almost pretty much guess or guarantee or speculate that they're going to come out in some kind of shade or hue of blue. It seems to be their family colour. Of course, it matches and ties in with Catherine's engagement ring, the late Princess Diana's engagement ring. So they're all looking, postcard picture perfect, I would say. The photographs were taken by photographer Matt Portier, so it wasn't William behind the camera lens. But Catherine herself is an amazing photographer. I think she's definitely been taking some great royal family portrait pictures over the years. The second photograph is, of course, of Catherine holding who I think is Prince Louis. You see that mop of kind of blonde hair and, of course, the stripy top, and she's sort of tipping him back. I wonder how much longer she'll be able to tip him back for, the rate that children grow. But no, beautiful kind of Mother's Day photos there. So please let me know what you think about those. Now, I also want to pop over to the royal family Twitter account, of course, of King Charles and Queen Camilla and the rest of the royal family. And they actually posted at midnight last night, because I saw it come up. And they say, to all mothers everywhere and to those who may be missing their mums today, we are thinking of you and wishing you a special #Mother's Day. So I think this is quite poignant. Both of them have lost their mothers, of course, the late Queen Elizabeth more recently. So we see a picture. I don't think I've seen this picture before. It might even be a new one that's been released to the world, but it is of a very, very young Prince Charles, who still looks like Prince Charles, doesn't he? I mean, you can definitely tell that is Charles. Some people look like as adults as they were as children, and I think King Charles is one of those. And of course, we see a beautiful, gorgeous young Princess Elizabeth with it looks like a 2-strand pearl necklace. Quite a natural photo. Normally we see quite staged photos, but this is definitely one from the private collection. So I'm loving that one. The next one is, of course, of Camilla and her mother. So obviously this one was taken as adults. Now, Camilla's mother passed away a major contributing factor to her ill health was osteoporosis. And of course, Camilla champions osteoporosis causes. And as you can see, there is a humongous family resemblance. Camilla absolutely looks like her mother. And I love her mother's little kind of spotty dress, multicolored polka dots. I love it. And Camilla looks very beautiful as well behind the scenes. This probably, I think, was taken, looks like in the 90s, I do believe. Okay, so before I go today, I almost forgot to show you my royal jewellery. So I am, of course, wearing the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara. This was a favourite of the late Queen Elizabeth because it was so lightweight to wear. And as you can see, it looks like little girls holding hands. That's how the design is. I quite like wearing this one because it's quite spiky and you can see it above my hair. And again, it is quite easy to wear. I'm also wearing one of Queen Victoria's bow brooches. The late Queen Elizabeth also wore this on many, many, many occasions. Thank you for watching this video. If you do have any comments, please feel free to leave them in the comment section below. Make sure you give this video a like and of course share on social media. So from me in Shropshire, to you all and goodbye.